As the crypto community descended on South Korea for the economy 2019, the markets went on a tear, with Bitcoin climbing from $4,000 to $5,000 in just a matter of hours. Alts followed suit and drove the market to highs seen last in November 2018. But is this run real? And if it is, what caused this run? Could it have been the April Fool's article that was published by Finance Magnet that claimed that the SEC had, get this, convened over a weekend and approved not one, but 2 Bitcoin ETFs? Could it have been a $100 million order that was spread across multiple exchanges? Was it the ICO guidelines that were published by the SEC, or was it something to do with the charts? Tonight, we ask all the important questions right here on the only channel that helps you make money trading crypto. So stay tuned for this week's episode of Crypto Trader right here on CNBC.
Crypto Trader is proudly brought to you by eToro. Discover a simpler way to trade and invest in cryptocurrencies and more.
With Bitcoin now trading firmly over the $5,000 mark, most traders are asking whether we've seen the end of the crypto winter. Tonight, right here on Crypto Trader, we're going to be talking to a panel of experts to find out whether they think this bounce is real or whether it's just another bear trap. We're going to be starting off with Vinny Lingham all the way in San Diego. Vinny, good to have you back on the show. Vinny, do you believe this bounce?
I'm not buying any bounce right now that doesn't go to around 6,200 and stays there for at least, I'd say 24 to 48 hours as being the end of the bear market cycle. If you look at bear market cycles in Bitcoin, typically the bottom is dictated by a 2x rise. So the bottom so far we saw is 3,100. So 6,200 is where you can start saying it's going into a bull market, or at least the bear market's over. Until we break 6,200, I don't think it's fair to say the bear market's over.
Why 6,200? Where are you getting this level from? Talk me through the logic.
So typically at the bottom of all the bear market cycles, it can bounce and move quite a lot, right? So there's a lot of lateral movement for a while until it gets 2x the bottom. If you look at the historical charts, roughly 2x is when the sentiment is shown to be changed. And then we're in an upward momentum.
So Vinny, do you think that the worst is over and that we've seen the end of the bear market? Or is there a chance that we'll go back to the 3,000 level?
There's absolutely a chance we can go below $3,000. I don't think the bear market cycle is necessarily over. And what I'm saying is I'll be convinced that it's over once we get above the 6,200 level. So that's a critical level. And so there's 2 critical levels. There's 5,700, which was the previous so-called bottom of the market, which broke. And then 6,200, which is double what we have is a bottom right now, which is apparently 3,100. So those are the 2 critical numbers. When we get past 6,200, I think it's all clear, reasonably clear at least.
Vinny, what do you think caused this bounce? There have been a few theories out there. One is that the Finance Magnet article, the April Fool's article, that the SEC had approved 2 Bitcoin ETFs may have caused the bounce. Another is that there was a big order for $100 million, which was spread across multiple exchanges. There's another one that Gabor Gurbax published, and he said that this was all caused as a result of a Bitcoin short squeeze, which was triggered by the futures close. Which of those theories sounds most plausible to you?
I think the $100 million order book spread is the one that makes the most sense to me from the data I've looked at. I think there's always lots of compounding factors, right? Someone comes in, does a large buy, there's some momentum, everyone jumps in. But I think, I still think we're going to be in a bit of a sideways market for a while. And until we get past, the 57 to 6,200 range, I think we're going to be stuck in kind of a purgatory. Who knows what the reasons are, but I don't think this bounce, I'm not buying this bounce right now. It just seems manufactured at best.
Vinny, do you think there's any chance that it could have been that Finance Magnet April Fool's article that caused this run?
No, I don't think so. I mean, in a bear market cycle, news doesn't move the market much. Okay, when you're in a bear market, that's just the reality. News is like, water in a duck's back. So I'm not buying it. I think there was a mechanical change in the market. I think there was definitely some money coming in. Remember, Bitcoin buying and selling transactions aren't perfect, right? It's not like if we have $300-400 million worth of demand every month, it doesn't mean it comes in at exactly 10 million a day or 15 million a day evenly. So it's chunky. So you could have a situation where there was some demand that was pent up and there was a chunk of money that came in and bought it, and that raised the price. But now the question is, do we return to the mean or not? And if we do, then there's going to be a deficit in buying for a period of time to even it out.
Vinny, the coins that have led the way in this run have been the altcoins. Coins like Litecoin, which has doubled over the past few days. Bitcoin Cash also doubled over the past few days. If you were putting money in the market now, where would you put it?
Look, I mean, obviously I'm a general partner in Multicoin. We've got a over $100 million fund, and we've been pretty vocal about coins like Binance, for example. We put out a report on BNB. But I think generally we've been one of the better performing funds because we've been largely market neutral in a bear market. So we'll take some certain long positions like BNB, and we'll match it with some short positions on other crypto. And what you find in these markets, when the market's trying to find an equilibrium point for Bitcoin, certain coins may move at a higher rate than Bitcoin, either up or down. And so Bitcoin is the kind of the bellwether of the crypto market. And so it is, if you're chasing good returns and chasing alpha, you may want to be, long on certain coins, but then, short or neutral the overall market to try and get, good returns out of it. And that's just the position we play. So I think there are obviously good coins out there that you could be buying and that do look cheap. And when things look cheap, they generally, they tend to be cheap. And so, it's often a case of how are you balancing your longs and short positions in the market?
Well, speaking of BNB, our next guest is the CEO of Binance, and we're going to be crossing to Seoul in South Korea to speak to CZ. CZ, it's so good to see you again, and I think the biggest news of the week is not the bull run, but the fact that you made peace with the block.
We never really had any issue. We just, I just said, well, I typically don't get into debates on Twitter, so I just dropped it, that's all.
Yeah, let's talk about the big news of the week, and that's of course the Bitcoin bounce. CZ, you've been bullish for quite a while now. Do you believe that this crypto bounce is real?
So yeah, I think a lot of people call me the most bullish people in the industry, but I don't know what happened to the most recent pump. But I guess the result shows that basically the fact that the price can go up so quickly means that there were actually a lot of money waiting to buy Bitcoin. And they were really fearing of missing out, the FOMO mentality. So the fact that the price can go up so quickly means all those money were ready, which basically means that people still have a lot of confidence in this industry. So it's not like everyone's scared away, stuff like that.
CZ, you're very close to action being at Binance, and you're actually seeing cash flows into the market. Did you see large volumes of actual new US dollars coming into the exchange over the last few days?
I think yes, we definitely do see we see more stablecoin deposits in the last few days for sure. And not only that, the trading volume of per transaction, the number of transactions, the number of orders people are submitting is at an all-time high. We're actually seeing more orders than January 2018. It's just that now the Bitcoin price is a little bit lower, so the total trading volume in US dollars seems lower. But we're actually seeing trading volume-wise, system load-wise, we're at all-time high. And user registrations are jumped as well. So all the indications are things are going up. Every number, every indication we have, or every piece of data we have is going up right now.
So what you're saying is an increase in trading volume, an increase in new user accounts. It does sound really bullish. Do you think that the new user accounts are there because of the spike? Or has there been an undercurrent of new signups in the lead up to the spike?
To be honest, there was a little bit of a warming up even before the spike. Even like 1 or 2 months ago, the speed of registrations were picking up. So, but the bigger growth actually was corresponding very tightly with the spike itself. So when it's spiking, there are more people registering. So the curve is very similar. Even the Bitcoin price itself, it was kind of warming up before the spike. So the curves are very, very correlated.
CZ, from what you're saying, it sounds very, very bullish. And it sounds like this may be more than just a fake bounce. It sounds like that there are more signups, that there's more money coming into crypto, and that there might be more interest in crypto again.
I certainly hope that's the case, and I personally believe so, but I want to be very careful with what I predict. So I generally don't make too many predictions, but as you said, I'm always bullish.
CZ, let's look at another indicator, and that's of course trading volume. According to CoinMarketCap, the volume in the last few days over the pump was around $80 billion. Now that's about 2.5 times the normal average daily volume. Have you guys seen your volumes on Binance go up by about 2.5 times?
It's going great, actually. So we released the testnet for about 2 months now. We did a massive trading competition on there. We found some issues, fixed it. The team's pretty happy with it right now. We did a lot of security testing as well. So things are progressing very well. And the team's pretty confident they will deploy it in April. It could happen any day now.
CZ, the last couple of conferences that I've been to have been characterized by this undercurrent of, shall we call it, doom and gloom, with people feeling down about the markets and the hustle and bustle's not there, the deals aren't happening. How's the mood this year at the economy in Korea?
I think the mood's definitely changed given the recent spike, so that definitely helped the mood. I think everyone I've met are very happy and very bullish, so the mood is definitely different from maybe a couple months ago in some of the conferences. But then again, Koreans are always pretty aggressive and pretty active in the crypto market. So they're one of the most active markets per capita. So yeah, the mood here is very, very active. It's actually it's a big stadium and there was a lot of people.
The who's who of crypto have descended on South Korea for the annual Deconomy conference. Our crypto trader team has been in Korea all week looking at the events. Let's cross over to our man on the ground, Adrian Bashuk, for a behind-the-scenes look at the economy in Korea. Adrian?
Thanks, Ran. We're here in the middle of Seoul, so we're going to give you a behind-the-scenes look at producing Crypto Trader here at Deconomy. First things first, it's at an arena, which just makes it an interesting location overall. And right away when you walk in, you see that Deconomy is just a different sort of conference. It stands for decentralized economy, and they really stand true to the mission. There are no projects being shilled. There are no founders on stage kind of sharing their wares.
In fact, let's hear from Deconomy's co-founder and organizer for their reasoning.
They cannot advertise their project. We didn't put like blockchain or coin. We don't want to make this conference as sort of shill, let's cheer each other in a bear market, that kind of stuff. We want to have critics and skeptics to come and actually discuss on the topic that matters.
Producing the show, I'm giving you a look and feel at the conference behind the scenes. We've got Lindsay, our contributor, talking to people about all things market and that recent pump. You're in the studio talking to some of our headliners. Here you do have some projects, GDAC right here, Peer, teams like Circle with their USDC coin. A lot of Korean-centric projects, obviously, Bitsonic, but also some international ones like Orbs, based in Israel. Bizant is a big Korean project, and our set is here at the end. Let's take a look inside. You literally see it's an arena.
Here at Deconomy, we had a slew of headliners hitting the stage. There was the much talked about Vitalik Nouriel debate, which many critiqued for lack of a barb for barb and back and forth debate, and that's okay. Andreas Antonopoulos declared mass adoption of Bitcoin is a matter of, quote, when, not if. But need will first come from, quote, broken financial systems.
Areas of this technology, increasing freedom alone.
CZ was here announcing the imminent launch of Binance DEX, who we'll hear directly from later in the show. Also coming up, Hashed and XRP Capital took the stage to talk all things Asia. And Vitalik's counterpart Joseph Lubin was here, surmising trust in decentralized systems will soon come.
Your personal social networks.
So that's Deconomy.
And now back to you, Ran, in the studio.
So that was Adrian Bashuk giving us a behind-the-scenes look at the economy in Korea. And it seems that all the big names in crypto have descended on Korea. One of those big names is, of course, Michael Arrington. He was the founder of TechCrunch and is today running Arrington XRP Capital, a fund that recently announced that it's gone over the $100 million mark. Michael, it seems that as you put on your kit and descended on South Korea, the Bitcoin price went up.
I don't think there's any way to look at it other than there's a direct correlation between me coming to Korea and the Bitcoin price spiking. So, no, but obviously not. But we were actually at lunch with one of our portfolio companies having Korean barbecue, Terra, and we got some text messages that the price had moved, and it made the lunch a lot more fun. So it was good. It was good and welcome news.
Mike, do you believe this run, or is this just another bull trap?
I don't know. Am I supposed to know? Can I say two answers and you just pick the one that is right and put that one out? I'm always wrong. I closed my fund in the first week of January 2018 and then proceeded to invest $100 million going long in the market. So I'm like the last guy you want to ask. I just know that if we put money into the market and hold long enough and make good bets, eventually, hopefully we'll make money for our LPs.
Hopefully. Mike, I read recently that your fund raised more money and that you guys are now managing over $100 million worth of funds. How did you manage to raise more money despite the bear market?
Well, so we lost money last year and did terribly like everyone, but we lost a lot less money than the market did. And so our investors, for some reason, were super happy. And so they gave us a lot more money. They gave us another $30 million at the end of the year. And that was fantastic. And that's it. We did better than the market. That's all you have to do with a hedge fund is do better than the market.
So, Mike, the mood at the economy this year, is there that buzz? Are the deals happening?
So there are definitely deals happening, but far fewer than last year. And I think the excitement's there, but the funds like us are spending a lot of our time trading the actual markets now, as opposed to doing new deals. And it's only because there are far fewer quality deals than we saw last year. I think the deals will pick up again. Entrepreneurs will start to build companies because they know they can raise money, and we'll start to see really good deal flow coming in. I mean, there's great deals still being done, but not at the pace of last year.
And the companies that you've invested in, are you seeing that they're moving more into a period of deployment and adoption, or are they still in the development phase?
We're seeing a lot of mainnets, right? You know, when you do these investments, sometimes they go liquid before the mainnet. This is definitely the season of the mainnet right now, and I'd say 4, 5, 6 of our investments from last year are doing mainnets right now or have done them recently. That's very exciting. They get to actually go out there and start testing the technology in the real world, and you know, that's fantastic. Some of our investments are even a slower burn though, and we're looking a year or two out before they're releasing anything.
So, Mike, of the investments that you've made, which are the ones that you're most excited about for 2019?
The problem with this question is whoever I forget to name ends up, because everybody watches your show, ends up, sending out messages to me complaining. But there are some really good investments. In Korea, we're in Korea right now. Our most exciting investment, I think, is Terra. It's a stable coin based in Korea. Fantastic team, Korean founders, but they went to school in the US, came back here, started a company. Really excited about Terra. It's also one of our largest investments. Another investment is Space Mesh in Israel. We're a long way off from Space Mesh going live, but it's one of our largest investments, and we're really excited about it. And we're starting to deploy more capital in the US, but these are more equity deals than token deals because, as you know, the SEC is a total disaster. And so, we avoid a lot of the token deals in the US.
Now, Mike, speaking of our good friends at the SEC, they've published some ICO guidelines. What are your thoughts on what they've published? Some of the critics out there have said that it's nothing more than a load of regurgitated hogwash.
Yeah, I haven't read the paper yet. We actually was 2 days ago, right? And so I've been too busy here. I've only read a couple tweets summarizing it, so I actually can't really speak to it.
That's Michael Arrington coming to us from The Economy in South Korea. And with Michael Arrington, you can always trust him to tell it to you as it is. Another guy that always gets direct and straight to the point is, of course, our good friend Richard Hart, the crypto billionaire who bought his Bitcoin at $50. Rich, do you believe that this bounce is the real thing?
I think that this could be the beginning of the end. I don't think this is the end. We don't do V-bottoms because there's so much more economic mass now that, even in the past, the last bear market, we had a capitulation candle, a good bounce, chopped around for a while horizontally, 40 to 120 days. And then we had another capitulation wick. Even in the biggest bull run of all time, we still get 30 to 40% drops. And, the futures markets don't believe in this rally. Right now, there's no premium on futures anywhere. There's a $30 premium on the next 3 months of futures that are expiring. So this isn't a rally that traders bought, or you'd see inflation in products that traders buy, such as BitMEX futures, like what you might buy from richardhart.win, my affiliate link, lol, 10% discount, or what you would buy at CME, which is doing all-time volume now. CME just did $500 million of volume, like April 2nd, April 3rd, and BitMEX did $5 billion, but that's still a lot. $500 million in a cash-settled product in the largest market in the world is great. Institutions could FOMO harder now and easier now than they ever could before. So if we don't have the bull run immediately, when we do have it, maybe come October, it's going to be fabulous.
So are you expecting another capitulation candle to follow?
I do. I think we will. The question is, do we make a lower low or not? So we get capitulation candles all the time of 30 to 40% in crypto, all the time in Bitcoin. So there's really no reason that I see for that to stop. The only reason I could see for that to stop would be so many institutional players are getting in that it reduces the volatility a bit, and we would see premiums on the institutional products, which we don't see right now.
I take it you're not a buyer at these levels.
I will buy the next capitulation wick. I think that this is the beginning of the end. So, I would dollar cost average in 4K, 4,200 down to 3K probably.
Wow, that sounds quite scary. It means that we could go down as quickly as we went up. Now, Rich, you sent us this chart, but this chart is not a new chart. It's a chart that you published a year ago.
Yeah. So, history tends to repeat itself. The best chart to give you an idea of what Bitcoin will do is what Bitcoin has done. So the last bear market lasted 622 days, and we had a retest of the very lows. And we didn't make a lower low, but we almost did for about a 122-day window where we stopped declining, had our bounce, chopped around a bit, had another capitulation wick, and it was a decision point there. Is this really the last final generational bottom where you're not going to be able to buy this price again? And it was, right? It didn't make a lower low, but you did have a horizontal period of about 120 days where you had multiple opportunities to buy near the bottom, right? So when a bear market ends, you don't get an instant bull market. You do have a horizontal period of chopping about to buy. And this would be the beginning of that period. And you could also see that we had a fake out of the 5,200-day golden cross in the last bear market as well. And if you bought that fake out, you got wrecked shortly thereafter by about 30 or 40%. So no, I'm not buying someone's 30% a day candle. I'm not buying 93 RSI, the highest 12-hour RSI the chart's ever seen in 4 or 5 years. No, I'm not buying that. I'll buy it when it looks bad.
Rich, are we at that cross again? Are we at the point where we're about to come down?
A lot of people misunderstand that. A 50 to 200 golden cross, 50-day moving average golden cross over the 200-day, it requires the averages to cross. Now, we've had a price cross, but the price is not the average. So right now, the price is higher than the average. And back when we had our death cross, we actually pumped on the death cross because it matters where the cross occurs in relationship to the actual price. And if the price is far away from the cross, it tends to revert to the mean. So if you buy a golden cross that's already very high over the crossing point, you're likely to get wrecked. Or if you sell a death cross that's already very low compared to the crossing point, you're also likely to get wrecked.
Okay, so you're saying that if you buy now, you're likely to get wrecked.
Depends on what you're buying. If you're buying, we've had 3x in Bcash, we've had 2x in Ethereum. There are altcoins that are showing multiple X's of performance. I'm just talking to you about Bitcoin right now.
Wow, so it sounds like Richard Hart is anything but convinced about this bounce. Let's cross over to Deconomy, to our CNBC contributor, Lindsay Ju, to find out what the traders on the floor are thinking about this bounce.
Thanks, Ran. We're here. Adrian took us behind the scenes at Deconomy, and now we're here to talk to the experts. Why the market pumped last week? Let's find out.
First off, we spoke to 24 experts, and consensus says no one truly knows why. But we got excellent insight from funds to founders to maximalists and even, yes, skeptics.
What about the recent pump? What do you think of what's going on in the market?
I think there's a lot of explanations. Maybe someone who's out there who's taking a big position, and I think that's triggered a lot of technical types of squeezes out there. At the same time, I do think that it's followed on by a lot of genuine, authentic interest in taking positions. I know that I've been stacking up my Bitcoin position over the last couple months, believing that while the bottom isn't completely in, we might be near it.
If we look at the crypto prices, it's been slowly picking up, and it kind of mirrors last year's economy. If you do think about it, prices kind of went up during the economy season.
Why do you think the recent pump happened?
People just coming back around to the idea that Web3 will be an incredibly important technology. The idea of taking back control of our data, of our privacy, of our financial accounts, and ultimately our freedom online is incredibly important and incredibly valuable.
What about the recent pump? Do you have any thoughts on that and what you saw with the market?
And a lot of that, I think, is due to the lack of transparency in the market, exchanges without regulation, people who control the exchanges who have no responsibility to any government anywhere. There was nothing fundamental. There was no major institutional money coming in or anything like that. It was simply a pump that probably triggered a lot of stop losses from short positions. Then you'll see retail jump in and try to FOMO and pump it a little bit more. But I don't think it's really anything meaningful.
Maybe it was the conference that had people's guards up, because at the OSL Base 16 Genesis Block after party, we got the long and short of it from some of Asia's top trading minds, starting with head traders at Genesis Block and OSL. You'll really want to hear their answers. Listen up.
Why do you think that the pump is happening?
Nobody knows, right? But let's just put it this way. There were a lot of heads up from, I guess, whales or people who connected to whales saying that something was going to happen soon. My personal guess would be a lot to do with the mining space. So they're buying up these second-hand rigs for very cheap. They're looking at summer electricity prices, which actually falls in China. So they're actually incentivized to kind of drive this.
What attributes to that uptick?
A lot of thoughts that there may have been sort of some liquidity squeezes going on, where there was a lot of very desperate buyers and not a lot of liquidity being provided sell side, but it's hard to say for sure.
And what do you think about the recent pump?
My 2 cents is I don't think it was a coincidence that the 3 exchanges that were involved in the price lift to initiate the whole move was a constituent of the BitMEX index. Personally, we're a huge fan, but at the end of the day, I don't think it was an accident.
I mean, was it the water? Is it the kimchi? Is it coming from Korea?
I think it's the kimchi. It must be the kimchi, right? And the ginseng? Oh my goodness.
The kimchi made us hot, so we stepped outside where even Kakao's blockchain head seems a bit bullish.
Any thoughts on the recent market uptick?
I wish I had bought a bit more before, but projects are getting good, awareness is spreading. I think there's just been consolidation at these levels where now there's just going to be more buyers than sellers, very simply said.
The bear market had played out a very large cycle. We saw a lot of consolidation around the $3,000 to $4,000 range for a while. I don't have a narrative for it, but I think it was just time.
The last 2 months of run-ups in alts and just the pop in Bitcoin just like last week, I think it's been pretty good in terms of getting the mainstream eyeballs back into crypto. Overall positive, but I think the bear market is still lingering on the population.
A lot of FOMO is happening again, and I really just got to, I'm a bit concerned with the retail chasing this, and I think this kind of pattern needs to change. Yeah.
So what?
To where people invest in things they understand.
So understand, do your research, and like these traders say, don't FOMO in. Ran, back to you in the studio.
And so it seems that everyone is not that convinced about the bounce. I guess we'll have to wait until next week to see if we can cross that $6,200 level that Vinny alluded to. Tell us whether you'd be buying Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, or Ethereum on my Twitter account, because I'm interested to see the results. I'll see you again next week. Until then, I'll be on Twitter at CryptoManRun, and you should trade well, my friends.
Crypto Trader is proudly brought to you by eToro. Discover